Hey everyone, welcome back to Code of the Row. In this video, I want to show you some UI basics using the gameplay ability system, GAS, and Unreal Engine 5. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with a blank third-person project and just create a blueprint one. We will do some C++ configuration because currently in the state of Unreal, we do have to configure our attributes in C++. So let's go ahead and start with that. So as soon as I launch my project, I'm going to head over to Edit, go to Plugins, and look for Gameplay Abilities, like so, and then I'll hit Restart. And once that's restarted, I'm just going to go over to Tools and create a new C++ class. And under All Classes, I'm going to look for the Attribute set. And you'll only be able to see this if you enabled Gameplay Abilities. So I'll click Next, and I'm going to create this file to be called RPG Attribute Set, like so, and hit Create Class. And this will open up your IDE. In my case, it will open up Visual Studios. So if these pop up, I'll just hit OK and Yes until it opens up. So as soon as you launch Visual Studios, it'll open up that RPG attribute set.h, which is our header file, and then one called .cpp, which is our C++ file. So let's go ahead and start with our header file. And over here, I'm just going to add our hashtag include, and then we need to include our ability system component. This is needed so we can use f gameplay attribute data, which is used in GAS. And now I'm just going to do this for a replication. So basically, I'm just going to add a comment here, which is I'm basically just going to create a simple macro, which is going to be our setter, getter, and initializer for our attributes. In this case, for the video, we're only going to create health, mana, stamina. So I'm just going to do a hashtag define and look for attribute accessors. And then I'm going to pass in class name and the property name. And then I'll look for the gameplay attribute property getter. And these macros are already made for us thanks to Unreal. And we're just going to pass in the same thing, our class name and property name, and then include that backslash at the end, like so, just like that. And then I'll just simply add that gameplay attribute getter or value getter. So it's right here. And we're going to pass in that property name. And then I'll do the same for the setter, like so. And then I want to call the initer function, which is our initializer, and make sure this last one does not have a backslash. So this URPG attribute set is the class that defines the player's attributes. This is going to be our health, mana, and stamina, and each attribute is going to be wrapped in our F gameplay attribute data to make it compatible with GAS or gameplay ability system. So right below my generated body, I'm just going to open the public keyword and just call a little constructor and just call the constructor URPG attribute set, like so. And now let's create the health attribute, which represents the player's current health. I'm going to use the uProperty function, which is going to be a blueprint read only, and the category will be attributes. And I'm going to have it replicated using this function. It's going to be replicated using onRepHealth. And then I'll call this f gameplay attribute data, which is needed for GAS. And this variable will be called health. And then I'll call the name of this macro, which is called attribute accessors, right below this f gameplay attribute data health. And I'm going to pass in the class name, which is our URPG attribute set, like so. And then I'll hit comma and the variable, which is health. And that's all we need in order to create this health attribute, which represents the player's current health. So now I can just duplicate this. I'll just do this twice and I'll just shift it to mana and stamina. So I'll change this to mana, this one also to mana, and then onRepHealth mana. And then this one will be stamina over here, and over here. And I have one for current health, and I also should have one for max health. All right, so I've gone ahead and done it for my current health and max health, current mana and max mana, current stamina and max stamina. And now you'll see this notification that says replication notification function not found. So let's go ahead and create those. So under my public keyword, I'm now going to scroll down, and then right under my attribute, my final attribute accessors for my max stamina, I'm going to add the protected keyword. And now over here, I'm just going to add the replication notification functions for attributes. So I will go ahead and comment this. For you guys in Patreon who want to download this directly, feel free to do so. And pretty simple, I'm just going to call a U function, which is simply just going to be a virtual void function called onRepHealth, just like we stated up there. And this will just get a constant value of our f gameplay attribute data with the and symbol at the end. If you don't know what that is, feel free to check out my C++, my ultimate beginner C++ course. It is about an hour long, but it will heavily teach you all the things you need in C++, especially when you're dealing with Unreal Engine, since Unreal Engine C++ is pretty beginner friendly. And I can basically just duplicate these for the rest. So instead of old health, I'll do one for old max health, just like that. And the same thing with old mana, old max mana, and old stamina and old max stamina. So just like that, we have created our on rep functions. And now I need to actually just create the definition in our C++ because our header is just for defining and C++ is for our actual function. So I'll head over to my C++ and finish this up. And in our C++, I am just going to do a hashtag include. I'm just going to include the net/Unreal Network. And this is just because I want it to be online friendly. So net/Unreal Network.h. Oh my God, my spelling. And then I'm going to create a constructor to initialize our default values. You can really do whatever. I'm not 100% sure if this is necessary. I actually started doing this only because when I went over the ARPG documentation or the ARPG code from Unreal Engine, they did this as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and just do that. It is probably good to initialize. I feel like it does make things easier. So I'll set initial values for the health simply by doing health is equal to 1.0f. And then I'll do max health is equal to 1.0f as well. Maybe I'll change these to like 100 or something, but let me go ahead and do the rest for you. Like so. So very, very simple. We just set our health, mana, max mana, stamina, max mana, or max stamina, some simple float values. And now I'm going to create the replication notification functions simply by, it's kind of close to being a copy of this. So I can go ahead and just copy it's on rep_health const fgameplay attribute like so. And now in my C++, I am just simply going to do a void and then call the class name, which is the URPG attribute set. And then I can paste that on rep health function in like so. And then I'll do open and close curly brackets. And this is simply going to call, and because of gas, we have this easy function which does it for us, the gameplay attribute rep notify. And then we pass in the class name, which is our URPG attribute set, and the value or the variable health, and then old health. And we'll repeat the same process for the rest, like so. And now after this is all done, you can feel free to pause the video if you want to copy these exactly. This is pretty much all you need. It's a simple copy paste, just change the variables, max health here, over here on the onRep, up here, and so on with every single variable that you've created. And now I'm going to include some replication logic to replicate all our attributes. So the function that we need is going to be the void URPG attribute set to get our class name. And we're going to look for the get lifetime replicated props. It's going to probably pop up as you do this. And we're going to pass in a T array of F lifetime property, use the and sign, and then out lifetime props. And then outside the parentheses, I'm just going to do a const because it's a constant. And then I'll open my curly brackets like so. And now I'm going to call the parent class simply by typing in super get lifetime replicated props. And then we're going to pass in that variable that we defined over here, the out lifetime props like so. And now we're just going to replicate current max values of health, mana, and stamina. So I'll leave a comment for you guys here. And all we need to do is call the do rep lifetime and then call the class name, which is the simple URPG attribute set, comma, and then the variable. In this case, it's going to be health. And then I can just duplicate this, change like so. And this is done for the 6 variables that we have. And now that that's done, I'm just going to simply display these attributes that we've created on our HP bar. So I'm just going to display our health, mana, and stamina. And now under my project, I'm just going to click on this drop down, go to source, drop down, and then go to this my project folder name again, drop down, and you'll see your project name.build.cs. And on the side here, next to our input core or whatever is at the end, I'm just going to add a comma, and then in quotes, I'm going to add gameplay abilities. And then I'll add one for gameplay tasks, add gameplay tags. And then I'll hit save, and now I'll actually right click and click clean. And after that's done cleaning, I'm just going to right click and rebuild. And I'll go ahead and click play for local Windows debugger to just simply launch my project. And if this asks it's built with a different engine, click yes to rebuild them. And now that the project is launched, I'm simply just going to go over to my BP third person character like so. And then under components, I'm going to click on this add button and look for the ability system. Now in my third person blueprint, after adding the ability system, at the end of my event begin play, I can simply just drag this out and then look for an init stats using the ability system like so. And then for the attribute set, you'll see that we can select our RPG attribute set that we created in C++. And if you're using some sort of data table or something in order to level and progress your stats with, you can go ahead and select that. And now right below this, I'm just going to hit debug key F. And then when I press this, I initially just want to print the string of this like so. And I'm going to right click and I'm actually just going to drag out the ability system component and I'm going to get float attribute from ability system component. And then what I'm going to print out is going to be max health in this case. And I'll just drag this return value to the string like so. And I'll hit compile and save. And now when I go back and click F, you'll see that it says 100 on the top left, exactly how we utilized it in the constructor. And another easy way to debug all of our stats instead of just printing it out, I can go to my third person map. And when I hit the tilde key, which is on the left of my 1, it'll pop up this console on the bottom here. And it'll also show my mouse cursor. And all I need to type is show debug space ability system. And when I click enter, you're going to see that it'll say health 100, max health 100, mana 100, max stamina, and so on. Just like we created in our C++. And now let's actually just make a simple way to expose this to the UI. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on my content and just create a blueprint interface, and I'll call this BPI underscore stats. And I'll double click to open this up, and I'll just create a function called update health display. And for my values for the function, I'm just going to have 2 input values like so. And I'll do current health, and which will be a type float. And then I also want to do max health. And now I'll create another function. So I'll click add, click function, and I'll do update mana display. And I'll have 2 inputs, which are also going to be float. So I will have current mana and max mana. And then I'll add one more function for stamina. So I'll do update stamina display. And this will also have 2 inputs, which is going to be current stamina and max stamina. And that's all I need for my blueprint interface. So I can hit compile and save and just head back to my content browser. And now from here, I'm just going to simply create a widget blueprint. So I'm going to right click and I'm just going to do a very basic one. It's going to go to user. I'm going to go to user interface, select widget blueprint, and I'll create a user widget and I'll just call this WBP underscore stats. Double click, drag in a canvas panel like so. And all I'm going to do is just drag in, let's say 3 progress bars. And then I'll also do 3 texts, which is going to be in between each progress bar just to keep it a little neater and organized. And I'm just going to make sure all of them are variables. So the first one I'll just call health bar. And then the next progress bar will actually just be mana bar. Make sure is variable is checked. And then the final progress bar is going to be stamina bar. And then for the text, I'll do health text. For the first one, make sure is variable is checked. And the second one will be mana text. Make sure is variable is checked as well. And for the third one, stamina text. Make sure is variable is checked as well. Now I'm just going to space these apart just to make it more readable. So for the health bar, I'll make them all 300. Actually, I'll do something like 500 by 40. And I can just select each progress bar and change it all at once. So I'll do 500 by 40, like so. And then I'll just manually drag these down. So I'll put my stamina somewhere down here and my mana bar in the middle. And then I'll drag the mana text block, the stamina text block. And then I want to drag the mana text block over here like so. And I'll just place this here for now. This is totally fine for me. I'm just going to just showcase that it works. And then when I go over to my health bar, I want my fill color to be light red, and I'll leave the percent at 0.5. Actually, I'll leave it at 1, like so. And then I want the style, the background to be a bit of a darker red, just so when it's empty, it'll look like we're missing health. So for example, when our HP goes down, it'll become dark red in the background, like so. And then same thing for mana bar, I'll change this to, actually this light blue looks good. And then for the tint, I'll change it to a darker blue. I'll leave the percent as 100. And then the stamina bar, I'll do green. Leave the percent as 100, like so. So I'll hit compile, and now I'm just going to go over to the graph. And for the graph, all I need to do is just create a custom event that I'm going to call in my player controller and on my character. So I can erase these 3, and all I'm going to do is just create a custom event called update stats. And this may get a little cluttery. Actually, I'll separate these 3. So I'm going to call this update health, create another custom event called update mana. And then I will create a third one called update stamina, like so. And the first one will have 2 inputs. One will be percent, or actually I'll do health percent and then health text. And I'll change the type from the top one to float, and then the health text will be string. Actually, the health text will be text. And now for the input of update mana, same thing. First one will be mana percent, and then we will do mana text. And don't forget to change the percent to float. And then for stamina, we will do stamina percent and then stamina text, and change the type of float to text for the stamina text like so. And all we're going to do is I'll drag out the health bar and health text. And then for the text, we're going to look for that set text. And then for the health bar, we're going to do set percent, and then just connect percent in here, text to text in here, and then drag the execution pins like so. And then repeat the process for your mana. So mana bar, stamina text, stamina bar, and then mana text. And I can just copy these nodes over. And then I'll just connect all the targets, connect the text and percent appropriately, and the execution pins. And yeah, this is pretty much all we need after this. So I'll hit compile and save. And now I want to actually get to use this in conjunction with that blueprint interface that we created in order to actually display our text properly. So I'm going to go back to my third person map, right click, go to blueprint and create a new player controller. And I'll just call this something like RPG player controller, and double click to open this up. And all I need to do for this is actually just go to my class settings, and then under implemented interfaces, I'm going to add that interface that we created called BPI stats. And now on the left, we'll see under interfaces that it'll add our update stamina, update mana, and update health. I'll double click on these just to get these to show properly like so. And then I also want to bring back that event begin play. And pretty much when we begin play, I'm just going to add a branch. And then for the condition, I'm going to look for a is local player controller. And if it's true, then we're going to create a widget. And that widget is going to be the WBP stats that we created. And then I'm just going to right click and promote this to a variable. And this will be stats ref like so. And then I just want to add this to viewport and hit compile and save. And now for the update event, the stamina, actually, let me arrange this in order. So health will be on top, mana, and then stamina like so. I'm just going to get these two. I'm going to drag out current health, type slash to get that divide operator, then max health. And this needs to go to the update health from our widget. So I'll drag out stats reference, get stats, and then I want to call the update health from here. So it'll call this function update health. And this is referencing the custom one we created over here. So this custom event called update health will be called in our player controller like so. And I'm just going to tag this current health divided by max health into health percent. And then I also want to just format the text. So I'm just going to right click, look for a format text, and then I'll drag in current health and then click add 2 pins for 0 and 1. And then I'll connect current health to 0 and max health to 1. And then for format, I'm just going to do something like health and then colon and then the curly bracket 0 because that's our variable, and then curly bracket 1 like that, and then connect the result to the health text. And then make sure you connect those execution pins just like that. And that's all we need to update our health display from our player controller. And then I'm going to repeat the process for our mana and stamina. So I'm going to give it some space. I'm actually just duplicating this, and then change health to mana, and then change health to stamina, connect it like so, get the stats reference here, and then I will call the update mana function. And then from here, I'll get the update stamina, connect the execution pins, connect it like so for the text, so it's much faster. Look for that divide operator, and then copy it down here as well. Divide these two, connect it to the percent, and then divide these two, connect it to the mana percent, and then I'll hit compile and save. And that's all we need for our player controller. And when I go back to my third person map, I'm just going to drag RPG player controller over to my game mode under player controller class like so. And now if I were to click play, it's just going to display text block and not actually update our percentage and HP and stuff. And that's because we actually need to tell our character what exactly is going to be updated, and on begin play to basically initialize our stats and show it to the user interface. So now let's go into our BP third person character and do that. So in my third person character, I'm just going to drag back this event begin play, look for the sequence node, and then from then 1, I'll leave then 0 as regular to basically just do everything at our input mapping context and our initialize our stats and so on. But after then 1, then I'm just going to update our health display to our BPI stats, which is our user interface. For the target, I'm going to get the controller, and the target will be our pawn, like so. And from our ability system component, which I can drag and drop, I'm just going to get gameplay attribute value, and I'm going to duplicate this because I want to get current health and max health. So this might look a little messy just because of how I did this, but it works. So I'll drag the ability system to both of these, connect the return value to the health, and then connect the max health to max health like so. And then I'll drag this out and I'm going to update mana display. And then I'm going to drag this out again and update stamina display. And the controller will just tag into all the targets here. And then I'm just going to get gameplay attributes for mana and stamina. So I'm going to get stamina, mana, max mana like so. Connect the ability system into all of these to make sure we are using our ability system component to actually just initializing all of this, and then connect our return value respectively like so. And now when we hit play here, we'll actually see all of our attributes. So it should just be HP 100 out of 100, mana 100 out of 100, and stamina 100 out of 100, just like this. So you'll see on the left, yeah, the UI isn't the prettiest. I actually put a capital N or a capital A next to mana. Looks kind of finicky, but yeah, that's pretty much how you get your UI to display pretty easily on using gas. And it is very easy. It is a bit time consuming. It's pretty time consuming to set up, but once you have it, it's very optimized. It's replicated. Everyone, if for example, if you have a party system, they'll be able to see your HP, stamina, or whatever you want to pretty much expose to them, depending on how you make the UI. There's just so much flexibility that you can do using gameplay ability system. And yeah, I've been pretty obsessed with this, working on this nonstop, and there are quite a few projects I'm working on, but yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching Code of the Row. Like, subscribe, comment what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.